An organization called Coalition Against Sanctions will march to the United States Embassy in Pretoria today to protest against sanctions against Zimbabwe. Marchers are expected to be joined by some political parties, including the ANC and PAC, and will hand over memorandums at the European Union and the US embassies. The organization claims sanctions imposed by Western countries have damaged the economy and left people struggling to buy groceries or even the most basic items. Sanctions have also made it difficult for Zimbabwe's government to access credit and debt relief, making it impossible to meet its obligations and attract investments. Our reporter Sipho Stuurman is there. Let's cross live to him. Sipho, a very good morning to you. What's happening where you are?
Well, a very good morning to you, Desiree, and our viewers at home. We're coming live from Pretoria, where the group called the Coalition Against Sanctions has gathered essentially what you just stated there, that they are calling for the liftment of sanctions against Zimbabwe by the United States government, saying that these sanctions are targeting the wrong people. They affect the poor that are unable to help themselves. But let's get more from the group themselves that are organizing this gathering here. Ma'am, if you can just please introduce yourself, your name, and just tell us who are these different groups that we are seeing here today?
Good day, everybody. My name is Martha Shumba from an organization called Coalition Against Sanctions. When we speak about sanctions, we're speaking about the sanctions that are imposed on Zimbabwe. And this, we came up with this movement in January, and we've been operational to say these sanctions must go, because they are affecting an individual person and not anybody else. When we look at Zimbabweans in South Africa, since we are here in diaspora, we have approximately 3.5 to 4 million Zimbabweans that are based here in South Africa, and because of the economic situation back home. So. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. So, you're calling for the liftment of the sanctions by the U.S. government. Have you tried to engage with the government back at home to say perhaps they should meet the conditions that are set out by the European or Western countries?
As far as I'm concerned, they've been doing their best. But who is the referee? That's the big question. Who is the referee? Nobody knows what's happening on the ground. As much as we can say there's been a lot of human rights abuses, but who is the referee? I can still ask the same question. How do they know?
All right. Give us a picture, perhaps, for our viewers are watching that. How dire is the situation in Zimbabwe as a result of these sanctions?
The situation is very bad. I don't want to lie. As much as I can say today, I want to pack my bags and go back to Zimbabwe. I can't. I rather suffer any consequences that happen here in South Africa, because the economic situation that side is not so favorable to anybody. The hospitals are deteriorating. There is no medication, nothing, and they cannot buy. The government as it is trying, maybe, but they are stuck, to be honest, because any individual person who can try to run a business, even if you were to buy stuff here in South Africa to sell back home in Zimbabwe, you cannot, because the price is high and people they don't have money. There is no money circulation. There is no foreign currency. A lot of black market has taken over. Now, because of this dear situation, corruption is rife.
Were there any expectations with the coming to power of President Emmerson Mnangagwa that perhaps these sanctions would be lifted? Is it disappointing that I think it's almost over a year that he's been in power, but still the bans have not been lifted?
There were a lot of expectations. Everybody we stood right behind him all over the world to say, yes, this is it. Things are going to change. The Mugabe regime is over. Now we are in the new era. And to be honest, the men did really try. But there is no player who can ever score if the rest of the team is playing.
So this gathering is not a show of perhaps trying to suggest a lack of confidence in the current president in Zimbabwe?
No, we are really confident with him. If sanctions are lifted, I can tell you it will take less than a year to boost Zimbabwe, because these sanctions are not only affecting Zimbabweans but SADC as a whole. Even if you were to try and assist Zimbabwe with any funding or sponsorship, you can't because of the restrictions.
Martha, thank you very much. Let me speak to one of your other colleagues that are here. I've noticed a number of groups have also gathered here to show support to this cause. I'm seeing a number of local ANC members that are also here. PAC members are also here, trying to also show support to this cause, asking the U.S. to lift sanctions against Zimbabwe. And now let me talk to another representative that has come here also to, stage this demonstration. Say if you can also just briefly introduce yourself and who you represent.
My name is Prince Chitambo. I represent Sanganoma Zimbabwe, a Zimbabwean organization.
All right. So, sir, just briefly talk to us about the need to lift these sanctions against Zimbabwe.
There is a great need to lift these sanctions because they are affecting ordinary people. They are affecting the unborn. They are affecting the oldest woman and men in Zimbabwe and abroad.
Is your government doing enough in of itself to assist in lifting these sanctions?
In terms of the government, I cannot comment because I'm not sure what they agree. One thing I know is that there is no way sanctions can be fair when there is opposition which is busy saying sanctions must remain so that they can come into power. Sanctions, the conditions is that there must be a change of government.
So when you say you're talking about MDC?
Yes, I'm precisely talking about MDC.
So are you calling MDC to come to the party to lift the sanctions, because sanctions is not just about politics, it's affecting the people on the ground? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. We are saying sanctions must not be spoken of considering the politicians, considering political parties. Let America consider poor Zimbabweans, those who are in rural areas, those who are in different places, those who have crossed the borders to say they are going to look for greener pastures because of bad economic situation in Zimbabwe.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. And I think he just summed it up at Desert, saying, let America consider the ordinary Zimbabweans, the poor Zimbabweans that have been affected by these sanctions. That sanctions don't necessarily affect politicians that are in parliament earning fancy salaries. It affects the people on the ground. Hence, they've come here to demonstrate to the U.S. Embassy here in Pretoria, calling for the liftment of the sanctions against Zimbabwe, and hopefully, they will get a response. But it seems it's a tough task, but at least these people here are trying.
Thank you very much there to Sipho.